Actually, we do need to be in the streets now. Trump is not quitting. The fascist forces under the command of Trump and Pence in the government and in the streets are not quitting. If the election showed anything, it has shown that these forces are deeply dug into this society and will not be vanquished without a huge struggle. Fighting all the way through to drive out this regime is going to be a huge part of that struggle. They have been stealing, and they are continuing to steal this election. This is hardly a secret.
The only way we're going to lose this election is if the election is rigged.
As it appears, they have a two-pronged plan, and they have been working on it, and they are doing it right in front of our faces. Part 1. Suppress the vote. Prevent the votes of hundreds of thousands of people from being counted, disproportionately Black and Latino people from the cities. Tie up the results in the courts that they have packed, all the way up to the Supreme Court and the state legislatures that they have gerrymandered. Create confusion, doubt, delay, and chaos, and then use holes and ambiguities in the law to overturn the results. Part 2. Dominate the streets and public squares with their fascist MAGA goons and thugs. Already, they have been mobbing the people who are counting the ballots in Detroit, Philadelphia, and Phoenix, and brandishing automatic rifles to threaten vote counters. These are the ones who waved around their assault rifles when they came into state legislatures in the spring, and then used those rifles or their cars to kill unarmed demonstrators against police murder and racism in the summer. Trump is tweeting, "Stop the count." He aims to both suppress the vote and mobilize his thugs, who he had earlier ordered to stand by.
Proud Boys, stand back and stand by.
Left unopposed, these fascist MAGA forces, aided by the police, will aim to create so much intimidating violence and chaos that key power centers and institutions decide to back or go along with Trump's theft of the election. That's their plan. Totally illegitimate, utterly fascist, and likely to work, if not opposed by massive, non-violent action in the streets. Think the fascist plan can't happen? Read some history and see how George W. Bush became president in 2000, with considerably less threat and mayhem than Trump routinely summons forth. Or more recently, remember how the cops and fascists used violence to suppress the beautiful rising against police terror and white supremacy, redefining the terms from the horrors of white supremacy to law and order, with Trump using this to come close to actually winning the election outright. The idea that we should not be in the streets is suicidal. Some political forces have told people to stay out of the streets in order not to, quote, play into Trump's narrative of confusion, chaos, and uncertainty, unquote. Reality check. Biden has not assumed the presidency. Meanwhile, Trump and Pence have not given up.
We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
And now they've sent their dogs in the streets and lawyers in the courts, aiming to seize the initiative and dictate terms. No. Recognizing the dire threat posed by this fascist regime, we cannot afford to play a waiting game. We need to come in and stay in the public square now, growing every day and night in massive demonstrations that are nonviolent, sustained, and refuse to back down till this regime is gone. That massive, sustained, nonviolent demonstrations is the key way we can reset the terms of debate, exposing the illegitimacy of the fascists and their moves, winning public opinion to the righteous and legitimate side of driving out the regime. This was done at the beginning of the summer in the beautiful rising against police terror and institutional racism, in a beginning but significant way that showed the potential power of this path. We need to do that again against this monstrous regime that threatens the future itself. We need to be making the case that the voter suppression, the threats and carrying out of violence, and all the rest that Trump, Pence, and the rest of them have already done and are continuing to do right now is illegitimate. That the white supremacy, the patriarchal theocracy, the fascism are even more illegitimate, and that this regime must go. If we don't get rid of this regime now, when we can, if they come back stronger and force their way into another term, then shame on us. The first and crucial step, the work we need to do now, is to finish the job on driving out the regime with mass sustained nonviolent protests. Humanity is counting on us.